What's up gamers, SpoopyDoops here. If you're into soulslike games, dungeon crawlers, or hell, even just Runescape, you've probably seen FlyKnight come up on your For You page. But if you somehow haven't seen it yet, you've stumbled onto the right video. FlyKnight is a dungeon crawler that plays like a modern Kingsfield, with graphics extremely close to old school Runescape, and that's not a bad thing. The vibes in this game are immaculate, and the combat, while paying homage to the games of yesteryear, is surprisingly fluid. As the title suggests, you play as a FlyKnight, wingless and without honor. It's up to you, or you and 3 friends, to traverse the treacherous dungeon and defeat the wicked Lunamoth, lifting her curse upon all of Bugland. After a short tutorial, it's into the dungeon, and this is where 99% of the game lies. There's 3 zones, or floors, to the dungeon, each with its own unique aesthetic, enemies, layouts, and bosses. Throughout your journey in each of these areas, you're going to be collecting tons of different weapons, armors, rings, magic spells, and fish. Oh, did I forget to mention that there's fishing in this game? We'll get to that, don't worry. But first, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. You're going to be swinging your way through this game in first person, and, in 2025 it's pretty rare to see this kind of game, even rarer to see it done so right. Weapon hits don't connect until the animation is through, and these animations are schnoice. Heavy weapons have some real oomph to them, while slicing feels visceral, with cooldown times taking longer if you whiffed your shot and shorter if you've connected. Shoot, I haven't had this much fun poking around since reminding my Facebook friends to check their Farmville for me. Come on, Isaac, I need gifts, man. You gotta log on and send me gifts, dude. A really fun aspect of the combat is what the devs call limb-based combat, which means you can cut off the arms and legs of your enemies. It's so satisfying slinging that claymore down and cutting enemies' limbs off. It'll also change up how enemies attack you. Archers can't shoot you if they only have one arm, and a completely de-armed roly-poly will start throwing roundhouse kicks your way. The limb-based combat is really neat, and exploring which enemy attack patterns change in what ways is a really fun aspect of the game. Another neat little facet of the combat is that you can swing your weapon in different directions. Some weapons can be swung from the left or right, from up high, and some are a thrust. The way that you change your swing is by holding the movement direction while clicking attack. I can't really recall a game playing like this, so it's really fun to mess around with. It feels a little clunky, but I think that's intentional to match the slow-paced nature of the combat. Besides swinging your melee weapons, there's also a parry and a kick you can pull off, with each being very satisfying to do. Additionally, there's some basic archery and a handful of magic spells to find. There's enough variety here that you and your friends are all going to find a handful of weapons that really speak to you. And it's a good thing that there's so much variety, because you can actually have 3 different weapon loadouts at once. See an enemy coming up that's weak to crushing? Let's switch over to that mallet. Oh, see someone who's weak to slashing? Katana time! Having a hotbar that you can load up with different weapons that can be swapped out with one button press is great, and it lets you deal with the different enemy varieties without having to go through menus a bunch. Now, while FlyKnight is a dungeon crawler, don't be mistaken, it's certainly a soulslike too. You can heal by drinking from flasks whose charges get reset after resting at bonfires. You can put on up to 2 rings that give you little bonuses, and one of these rings even gives you a sidestep, amounting to, more or less, a first-person roll. Hell, one of the bosses is basically the Bed of Chaos, and the level right after that is a swamp. FlyKnight is a love letter to the Souls games, and just pointing out all the Souls-like tendencies to friends while playing is a lot of fun too.
We're about to fight the Bed of Chaos, huh?
Yeah, we really are. Encumbrance is yet another of the many combat subsystems in the game. Every piece of equipment has a certain weight to it, so if you're too heavy, your stamina is going to take a while to regenerate. The flip side of that coin is that the heavier you are, the less affected by enemy kicks or pushes you'll be. It's fun being able to decide if you'd rather be a speed demon or an impenetrable wall, and it's cool that there's just one more way that you can make your playthrough your own. Another combat-focused topic I'd like to bring up is the lack of experience points or levels. That's right, it's pure skill, baby. This game is going to want you to learn its systems rather than making you incrementally stronger, and for the type of game that it is, it really works out great. The bosses in this game are decently fun with a good variety of moves and abilities, but I did find them to be a little too easy, especially on additional playthroughs. I only died to one boss one time, so just know going in that this is a pretty chill game. You're not really going to find that big of a challenge here. Fishing is another area where I'd like to make a small complaint. The mechanic itself is fine and it gets the job done. I just wish that there was a little more depth to it. You cast out your rod and reel in fish with right click, which is fine enough. There's a decent variety of fish, each with their own unique status buffs they can give you, but I never found myself needing any of the buffs in the game. Truthfully, I never ate one of my fish. Either making fish more important or making fishing more fun would go a long way in its meaningfulness in the gameplay loop. As far as the story is pretty minimal, but it's a Souls-like, so I might as well just say water's wet. What little story is here, though, is pretty engaging. I found myself invested in the world, and I like the character and general vibe of the NPCs that hang around. I guess what I'm getting at here is don't go in expecting Shakespeare, but the ambiance and atmosphere is here for sure. The multiplayer of this game is really fun. There's PvP unless wearing a specific ring that mitigates it, and this caused a lot of funny moments for my friends particularly.
Take off your coral preventers, Kellen.
You first.
Okay.
Oh, he didn't put on the Quirler preventer yet.
Take off your bracelet. Take off your bracelet, Sir Buggy.
No, it wasn't me!
Random gear drops can lead to some real loot goblin activity, so make sure you get what's yours really quick.
You can summon shit?
Bro's saying he's not the loot goblin. He went straight for the chest.
What do you mean? There was nothing.
We're still fighting things. Austin and I are in the fucking pits. We got the fucking coal on our face. And you're like, oh, look at this. Look at this.
Fellows! Oh no!
Another really fun feature is the emotes wheel. By holding Z, you can select through a list of emotes, ranging from dancing to waving to pointing and laughing. Me and my friends got some good value out of the pointing and laughing emote, I can tell you that. My only real problem with multiplayer is that there's no spectating currently, which is a bizarre choice. When someone dies, they just have to watch their body while everyone else continues dungeon crawling. They can be revived by resting at a bonfire, but it would be nice if there was some kind of spectator mode after death, kind of like Lethal Company.
Do you think we're big ass flies, or do you think like everything else is just super small?
I think we're big ass flies.
Something that I remembered while editing this is that only one person can use the personal stash at a time, which is crazy.
Only one of us can use a personal stash at a time?
Get guys.
What the fuck?
This would be like if you were playing Minecraft and only one person on the server could use the ender chest at a time. It's crazy that it's like this, and hopefully it gets patched. The aesthetics of this game are to die for. Obviously very old school RuneScape inspired, you'll find that there's tons of flat colors with purposefully blocky shading on low poly models. There's also some visual options to turn on a variety of dithering modes, as well as to change the amount of crunch to the models in the game. I love me some crunch, so as soon as I found that this was a thing, I cranked that bad boy up. The UI is also so fun. We can see our character in the top left at all times acting as they do in game, so if you lean back to drink your potion, you're gonna see them leaning back to chug it too. It reminds me of games like Doom or even Kung Fu Riders on PS3. It's just such a fun inclusion that wasn't necessary, and I love seeing these types of additions to games. The music also beautifully on point. It totally nails the feelings of like a 2003 dungeon crawler game, and the plucky strings and airy percussion is so fun to listen to. The songs loop on themselves perfectly, and they're so chill that it's really just the perfect vibe for this kind of game. FlyKnight takes about 2 hours to beat, but I choose to think that that means you can just replay it more often. It's only $6 on Steam, so I totally recommend this game. It's absolutely worth your time. I'm telling you now, this is going to go down as a classic, just wait and see. The devs have also stated that they're working on a sequel, so keep your eyes peeled. If you like this review, check out my other review on Donut Dodo, an arcade game harkening back to the days of Donkey Kong. And if you clicked on this video because you like the RuneScape aesthetic, might I suggest this music video I made last year, where I put myself inside of RuneScape. It's pretty epic. That's all I've got for y'all today, so until next time, see you later, flyheads.